Deeper into the cave he advanced. Brent shuddered. It wasn't the chill in the air that had his nerves flared up, but a constant sound, like a strong fabric. This place was unnatural. He had been in enough dungeons and ancient ruins to know that. He had been sent in after an earthquake revealed a gaping chasm on an island near a small lake hamlet. The locals hired the adventurer to explore it. Now he was regretting taking the job. Yeah, he needed the coin, but he didn't know if it was worth it. He'd find out soon. His torch flickered as he arrived in a large opening. The sky spread out above him, but his light fell on something else. It was massive and breathing slowly. Each breath let out a foul-smelling wind which threatened to extinguish the adventurer's torch. Brent looked on in awe as a great yellow eye snapped open. The owner rose up and let loose a deafening howl that filled the whole area and echoed to the nearby village. Fear rolled over everyone present. Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. Today, our attention turns to Fenrir, the wolf of the end times. Let's see how such a beast could pose such an issue. Fenrir is a feared wolf coming from Norse mythology. He is a child of the mischievous and treacherous god Loki and the giantess Angrboda. Together they birthed 3 children, Jormungandr, Hel, and Fenrir. Loki and his wife raised them in secret within Jotunheim, but in time the secret was discovered, and the 3 children were brought before Odin and the other gods of Asgard. Fear grew in the hearts of the gods, for they feared not only their mother's dark influence, but that of their father more. There were prophecies about these 3 children, all tied to darkness and death. Jormungandr was thrown into the ocean, where he encircled the globe. Hel was sent to Niflheim, the underworld for those who didn't have a noble death, where she was allowed to rule. Only Fenrir was allowed to remain in Asgard. Fenrir grew and grew by each day. He could touch the sky and the ground with his mouth wide open. The guards quickly feared him, until only Tyr was willing to approach and feed him. The fear of Fenrir grew, and the gods concocted a plan. A challenge was offered to Fenrir. They created a set of chains called Leding. Fenrir was hesitant, but peer pressure from the gods playing on his vanity, claiming that he would be renowned for his strength if he could break them. Finally, he agreed, and with a mighty howl broke free from his bindings. His fame did grow, but so did the fear about him. Soon, a new set of superior chains were produced, Dromi. Once more, Fenrir was challenged with it. He was sure that he had grown stronger since testing the first, but still had concerns. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. Soon he agreed. Bound up, he strained. With maximum effort, he broke free, the pieces flying away. Odin grew nervous, and he sent a message to the dwarves, who created the 3rd bindings, Gleipnir. They took 6 ingredients: the sound of a cat's footsteps, the breath of fish, the beards of women, the roots of the mountains, the spittle of birds, and the sinew of bears. They used all of them, thus why they don't exist anymore. So they say. What they produced looked like a ribbon, and felt smooth as silk. The gods tested it, and none could tear it. Smiling, they set up a 3rd challenge. They invited Fenrir out onto an island on a lake and offered him the challenge. This time he was reluctant, sensing unease from the crowd. He agreed to it if only someone would put their hand in his mouth. None but Tyr stepped forward. He placed his right arm in Fenrir's mouth, teeth resting on Tyr's skin, as he was tied up with the ribbon. When he couldn't break it and asked to be released, the gods stood still and didn't remove it. Only then did Fenrir react. He bit down and severed Tyr's hand in a single bite. The gods rushed in to bind Fenrir in place, tied to a great boulder on the island. Fenrir howled and snapped his jaws, but a sword was placed in his mouth. The hilt and pommel on his tongue and lower jaw, with a point into his upper mouth. He couldn't close his mouth and forever drooled. His drool would form the river Van. Alone, Fenrir is left there, howling and drooling while he struggles against Gleipnir, until the dreaded day comes, Ragnarok. The gods should have slain him, but did not wanting to spill his blood in such a holy place and sanctuary. A poor decision, for on Ragnarok, Fenrir shall break free and devour the sun and Odin, set the world on fire for being slain himself. A dark omen to be sure, and this brings up the endless curse of prophecies. In trying to prevent them, they are fulfilled. If the gods never feared Fenrir, he would never have been tied down and developed his hatred of the gods of Asgard. Thus, when Ragnarok began, he sided against them. So, if they treated him fairly, would he have joined the gods in battle? Carried Odin or Thor into battle against his own brother, Jormungandr? Perhaps. Or perhaps his father's treacherous nature could have infected his mind and caused him to turn on the gods regardless. Truly, the gods should have slain Fenrir while they had the chance. Yes, I know many would never want to defile sacred ground. But why didn't they select a less holy place to them? Well, they needed a place which Fenrir would attend a gathering of the gods. A group of gods all going to gather in a cave. That would be suspicious. No, they'll pick someplace impressive, auspicious, and well known. That is why they picked such a precious place to them. But there may be another reason not to slay Fenrir. His sister Hel oversees those that don't die an honorable death. Being murdered by deceit rather than in battle would fall under a dishonorable death, and that would send Fenrir down to his sister. That doesn't sound like a good situation. Now, as to the strength of Gleipnir, I couldn't tell you how strong it is, due to all of the ingredients being used up. But we can guess as to what breaks it. Time is one option, worn down by the passage of ages. Another is Fenrir's power, limitless growth. It is said that he can touch the ground and sky by opening his mouth. That doesn't tell us how high the sky is, but an idea. But we know how big he will grow, big enough to devour the sun. Well, the diameter of the sun is 864,938 miles, or 1.392 million kilometers. But he doesn't need to swallow it whole. That means he could rip it apart and swallow it piece by piece. Still doesn't tell us how big though, but we get an idea of his size. The final option is him being freed by Surtur, the fire giant, as the battle begins. Since we know that the materials used to make Gleipnir were used up, they were finite, and Fenrir has limitless growth. When you have something with limits facing one without limits, sooner or later it must lose. What does it mean to continuously grow? Most animals have an optimum size to exist at. As they grow bigger, the nutrient demand grows, the amount of oxygen and water it needs. This isn't a linear growth, but exponential. This is why most species stop growing after a certain point, but Fenrir doesn't. But this is seen in fish. They can experience continuous growth under the correct environment. But Fenrir isn't in that situation. he is tied down on an island, unable to move or hunt, probably starving. The only way he could keep growing and not wither away is if he is eating himself, or is supplemented by magic. Oh, and there is magic. He is on holy ground, which the gods didn't want to spill blood on. Dirt that he could eat, not very tasty, but available to him. And with divine influence, he could continue to grow and sustain himself. Did the gods need to go through all of that to stop Fenrir? It was Odin's son Vidar who bested Fenrir in the end. Was he truly needed? Was it best to let Fenrir keep growing and growing, rather than stop him while he was still smaller than the sun? Oh, probably. But if Fenrir grows to an incredible size, he'll struggle to find a flea on his body. Yeah, a god being compared to a flea is comical, but think about it. Fenrir bit off a god's hand. I don't care what kind of armor you've got on, but Fenrir can bite through it. The strength of his body can overcome any obstacle, save Gleipnir. There is no way a mortal like you can stop Fenrir. I'm sorry, but it will be nearly impossible. Stealth is better than brawling here. And if you are too small to find, Fenrir will struggle to find you. So, how did Vidar do it? Fenrir is a wolf, which means his back is sort of a weakness. And there is another. Where Gleipnir was bound to him, he could create sores from the endless struggle against it. This would let our god get through and harm his foe. But Fenrir is said to spread fire across the world. Well, that will probably be from the flames of the sun spewing forth. The heat of the sun could burn Fenrir from the inside and could wear him down until he is weak. That would be the time to strike. For that, you need fire protection. Chances are Fenrir is on fire, and as he runs about, he is spreading the flames across the world. But a better option would be to kill Fenrir while he is tied up. Yeah, it wasn't easy to restrain him, and they shoved a sword in his mouth, and Tyr lost a hand. But they still could have worked together and moved Fenrir off the sacred island, and into a more fitting place. Get a cart or boat and haul him away. But that means he'll end up in Hell's hands, and then we are still facing the same fate. Truly, this is a no-win situation. Kill him, and he is just sent to the underworld, ruled by his own sister. If left alive, he'll eventually break free of his restraints, and bring about the end of the world, devour the sun, and eat Odin. The only way to prevent this conflict would be to defy the prophecy that foretold his actions. You'll need to work to turn Fenrir to your side long before anything comes to pass. That is assuming that destiny can be defied, and so often it is your actions which bring it about. Fenrir is a dangerous foe. He has slain and maimed gods, including the mighty Odin. He devours the sun and spreads flames. Natural disasters of the greatest scale. His strength is virtually unbeatable. It is only with cunning, planning, and a lot of luck that you can slay Fenrir. He has no limit to how big he can grow, and is absolutely deserving a 10 of 10 for difficulty. There is very little chance that you, a mortal, could win. A battle which is destined to play out someday. One that could only be delayed, but never avoided. When it comes, luck is all that you'll have as you wait for a god to fell this beast. Once Fenrir is defeated, there isn't as much to gain as you would think. This is the day of Ragnarok. Just about everything has been destroyed, turned to ash, or washed away. What little remains will be worth it. Gleipnir may be damaged, but still invaluable. Use it to create armor, one that will resist being torn and cut. It is difficult to work with, but even a shred of it is valuable in rebuilding the world. You can use the pieces as cells for new ships and clothing while you start again. The flesh of Fenrir can be used. Due to its incredible size, the meat could last a while, if preserved, but there is a high chance of all the meat rotting and becoming poisonous if not addressed. I know that there is much that you'll be doing, but dealing with the meat will need to be a priority. You can also take that sword that was in his mouth. If the sword held open Fenrir's mouth, it must be more durable than Tyr's arm. What sort of sword it must be to be as tough as a god. I'm sure that you could find a use for something like that. Wouldn't you agree? Fur and hide can be tanned as well, to provide a house, clothing, and other important materials that you'll need. Again, it'll take a lot of work to handle. You'll have plenty to do after Ragnarok. I hope this will make it somewhat easier. Fenrir howled. The great beast sprang about. Brent didn't have time to react as Fenrir advanced. But it was stopped short by Gleipnir. It struggled against their strength and couldn't reach the man. It let out a howl through its open mouth. Brent turned heel and ran. He knew what that thing was, and was only safe right now because it still waited. How much longer before that day came? That was a question that none knew, and all feared the answer. The villagers doubly so when they heard the adventurer's report. Fenrir is a fearsome foe which is destined to participate in Ragnarok, a day dreaded by many, and the only time that Fenrir can be stopped. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next week for Omu Kade. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.